Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Our speaker tonight, as you all know, is John. I just want to say, there's certain speakers, that I never get tired of hearing, and I always get something out of what they say. And John happens to be one of those speakers. John?
Hi, everybody. My name's Johnnie, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi.
And I'm very glad to be here at the anniversary of one of the offshoot groups of the Big Book group. Well, I just thought I'd throw that in there, being you're playing the other group tomorrow in softball. We're having a hard time. I know you don't have it up here, but we're having a hard time down there trying to differentiate between the Big Group and the Long Beach Malcontents who play softball. Oh, I'm only kidding. Now tell I'm kidding. I think if you go to meetings and you join in on the social effects, and if you don't go to meetings and the social effects don't have much thing for it, because one of your socialites just left. Yes, I guess they had their cake and left. I don't know. I'm very glad to be here tonight. I really am. I've had a fine day, and I always look forward to coming to this meeting because there are little pockets of Alcoholics Anonymous scattered all around. I go to a lot of meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. I go to a lot of meetings that say they're Alcoholics Anonymous. Just because they say they're Alcoholics Anonymous, I'll nod in agreement, but I won't say that on the way home. And that's the truth. Because, you see, I believe personally, now this is my own personal belief, I believe Alcoholics Anonymous is a celebration. I believe we're supposed to celebrate life in Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't think we're supposed to sit around and moan the dead. I didn't come to Alcoholics Anonymous to die. I was dead when I got here. I was 27 going on 85 when I come to Alcoholics Anonymous. It was tough out there doing what I was doing. And when you live the way I live, life kind of got tough. And so I love to come to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings where there's celebrations, and I want to wish the madam happy 20-year birthday. Yeah, that's what they called him in my day. I don't know. I really am. I was sitting here thinking about it as she was up here wiping her eyes out. I was thinking about sitting at Rockford Group maybe 19 or 20 years ago. Jeannie was new. I wasn't all that old. And it's kind of amazing, and you probably never understand it unless you stay sober for a long period of time. What a great thing it is to sit back and reflect on long periods of sobriety in Alcoholics Anonymous and people who've been walking right along that path with you. And when you get to be 20 and 23 and 24 and so on, sobriety, years in sobriety in Alcoholics Anonymous, you turn around and there's not that many of them left. It really isn't. The basic length of sobriety in Alcoholics Anonymous runs somewhere between 5 and 7 years. If you were to take a poll of all the people here tonight, I'll bet you that 90% of the people here are under 7 years sobriety. And I wonder where all they are. And I don't say that they're all out there drunk somewhere or they're all out there drinking somewhere. It just seems to happen something. And I can tell you, in my own personal experience, 7 years is a deadly thing. Something happens to alcoholics during 7 years. I don't know what it is. They run in 7-year cycles. In my own case, what happened to me was I got my values all screwed up. You see, I was 7 years sober and finally got some credit together. They finally let me drive a car. And my parole was off. I wasn't taking the alien test anymore. I had a house and a couple of cars, a wife, and a couple of kids, and a job, and all that stuff. Showed up at meetings. People say, "How are you doing?" I took them outside and showed them a car. Yes, I thought that's what you do. They'd say, "How you doing?" I'd say, "I like my new suit." They'd say, "That's fine." After the meeting, we went down to the corner drugstore down there and had ice cream sundaes, set them up. The big man's blowing it here, strawberry sundae for the group. Then I stepped out into reality. And I went home and I started looking around for my kids, and they weren't there, and I started searching the neighborhood to find the different houses where my kids were. Then I found my kids, and I had to put the kids in the car and start driving around the bar till I find their mother. And I didn't understand that. Because I was an active member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I didn't understand why things weren't going on for an active member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And different things started to happen. I started to be guilty about going to meetings, and guilty about staying home. And something very tragic happened in my life. I don't like to say it was a blessing from God, but the way it turned out, it was a blessing in my life, because I'm one of them type of people who only reacts to crises, particularly when I'm self-indulged with self-indulgent, which I am prone to do, being an alcoholic. Now, I know that doesn't happen in the Tri-God group, but the mother group, the big book group where I go to meetings on Monday night, it happens to people like me. And if you're an alcoholic, it'll happen to you. Just as sure as you're sitting in this chair. And if it happens to you, I pray to God. Only one thing, I pray to God that you have a firm foundation of Alcoholics Anonymous underneath you, and you are conditioned to go sit in meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. Because it's the thing that saved me. That's why I'm here right now. Now, I want to let you know something. From the day I stumbled into my first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, a little over 24 years and 7 months ago, I haven't had a conscious thought or a conscious desire to put any type of chemicals in my system whatsoever. Right up to this very instant. I've had a couple ideas about leaving Alcoholics Anonymous. Of course, I was always leaving somewhere before I came to Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, when I read the 3rd chapter about taking a trip, not taking a trip, the only thing I didn't do in that thing is not take a trip. I did everything. Now, I'm glad to be here tonight, fully clothed and in my right mind. And the reason I tell you that is the longer I stay here, the more necessary it becomes for... Jesus, turn the kid loose. The more necessary it becomes for me to remember from whence I came. I'm an alcoholic. I have a short memory. You see, I read something one time when I was sitting someplace resting from the trials and tribulations of the world, through a series of bad breaks and misunderstandings. I was in a nut house somewhere, probably, when I read that. They let you read soft literature in those places. Don't do anything hard or sharp. And I remember something I read. It said that if you forget anything, you are condemned to relive it. See, I never want to forget where I was 25 or 26 years ago. I never want to forget that. Not physically where I was, but I never want to forget where I was mentally 25 or 26 years ago. I was through. I was completely and totally wiped out. I was 27 years old, and I was through. I'd been everywhere. I've been a practicing heroin addict for 14 years. I went from wine to weed to pills to heroin. I went to one institution. I started going to an institution when I was 7 years old. Going to the institution when I was 27 years old. 27 years old, I've been a ward of the state of California for 20 years of my life. A ward. I thought they were my mom and papa. I thought the ward of the institution I was in was my old man. I thought the parole board was my mother or something. I don't know what's going on. I thought maybe that's where I just didn't understand. That's the way I lived. And I knew all about living in institutions. I knew all about that stuff. I knew about living in the streets. God, I knew how to make money to get the things I needed. I knew how to use, manipulate, and take from people because I was good at that. I lived off the earnings of women. God, I was good at that because I was a sweet little young tender thing. I remember one time I was residing in a house of ill repute I had taken up reference there and residence there, and I was residing down there, and it was in Watts, which was a dark part of town, and I was residing there, and I was going out from time to time bringing goodies back. And I remember one time I said to this old madam, "Why do you keep me around here? I mean, why do you buy me clothes, keep me loaded, give me money, give me a nice automobile? Why do you keep me around here?" And she looked at me and she says, "Johnny, even prostitutes have to have something to look down on." Now, I'm going to tell you something. I was so self-obsessed and so intoxicated by my own self-indulgence that didn't even register with me until I was 10 or 12 years sober in Alcoholics Anonymous. Things like that just kind of went over my head because nobody was ever talking about me, because you see, all my life I lived with certain things, and I recognized certain things in my life by certain feelings that were incorporated in my life. When I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I didn't feel a part of Alcoholics Anonymous. Not at all. But that wasn't new to me. I had never been a part of nothing in my life. I was never a part of my family. They were drunks. I wasn't. And I packed that around for a long, long time. And then I got out there and started running in the streets. And I didn't belong in the streets. I run around with all those black guys and those Mexicans down there in those dope-filled neighborhoods. And I didn't belong down there, but I didn't let anybody know that. When I got locked up in them institutions, I didn't belong there. I didn't belong in those places. Jesus, I didn't understand. I didn't do what I was doing there, but I didn't belong there. And I lived that way all my life. And everywhere I went, people made me feel different. Because they were always telling me I'm supposed to feel certain ways. I'm supposed to do certain things. Remember the first time I ever went to church, I've never been back since. Unless it's a place like this. The guy standing there, I'm sitting in this thing, and I've got these holes inside of me, and this insanity that's engulfing me, and this guilt, and this differences, and the guy standing there telling me I'm supposed to love and honor and respect my parents. And I don't love them. I hate them. And I don't understand them. And they incorporate this guilt thing in me. And now I've got this difference and this guilt thing from me. I don't know what to do about it. I'd live with these. I'd start packing these things around. Then I'd live the rest of my life prior to coming into Alcoholics Anonymous, not belonging anywhere, and guilty and frightened that you're going to find out that I know that I don't belong there. And then you're going to find out you're going to make me leave and go somewhere else. And I did anything that was necessary for me to do to survive in the world I lived in. I lived out there in the street. And I went from streets to institutions, streets to institutions. That's all I knew. It wasn't that people like me didn't do anything different than me. He just went to jail, he came out of jail, penitentiary, came out of the penitentiary, got loaded, went out just like a war animal coming out of the shooter, which is a cycle. No different. Nobody like me ever did anything different. That's all they did. And I come wandering into a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous on the first Sunday in November, 1959. I didn't come here with any noble reason. I didn't come here to get sober. I was sober. I didn't come here to find out how to live comfortably and peacefully and joyously for 24 years and 7 months of my life. I didn't come here to learn how to come over to Try God group and watch an old lady cry because she's got 20 years sober. I didn't come here for any of that crap. You know why I came here? Because the institution I was in allowed women to come in there. I came to Alcoholics Anonymous to smell perfume. I've been honking and sniffing around them ever since. Be careful about us sick people. You open them doors, sickos are coming in there. Man, they open the door and let me in one day. That makes anybody welcome. They let me in there. And if you'd have asked me when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I was an alcoholic, I'd have hit you in the mouth. I was a dope fiend. Talk to me about no alcoholic. I'm a convict. With that van, get it on, Jew. I'm a pimp. God, that sounds good, huh? Pimp a hot dog around the corner somewhere with me. Talk about, I tell you about the millions of dollars I spent out there, and the broad brought the money to me. If you ain't careful, I'll bum your cigarette from you right when I get to tell you about how big a man I am out there in the street. We've got two coppers to rub together. Big man in the institution, bright little kid out in the street. You know what I'm scared about in the street? Scared all them convicts going to come out of the penitentiary to see me out there running around in blown out tennis shoes, riding that bicycle looking for that connection, doing anything just to get well, trying to find out about them runouts. That's what I was when I came to Alcoholics. You know what I thought when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous? You know where I moved in? I moved in and took up a residence in the back row on my throne of contempt. Being different, you have thrones of contempt. You don't just sit down in chairs. You're different when you come to Alcoholics Anonymous. You don't sit down in the back row with chairs. You sit back there in your throne of contempt. And you sit back there with your arrogance and your selfishness and your differences. And you sit up there and you look up on a wall and you see two big A's and you say to yourself, my God, I wandered into an anti-aircraft brigade. What is this? You say to this dummy sitting next to you, what is this? He says, it's Alcoholics Anonymous. Then you sink down in your seat. Because gangsters ain't supposed to be hanging out with winos. And then these crazy people who drive 185 miles up a 2-lane road to come and watch the animals stand up there. And they do something for a guy like me that's never been done before. They have different looks about any people that I've ever been around. They got twinkling eyes, these people. They got smiling faces. They had this air of peace about them that I've never quite recognized before. I said, well, I never saw that before. There was no peace in my neighborhood. There's no peace and serenity in institutions and in penitentiaries and in drug dealers that I hung around. Them people are at war with the world. You know what they talked about, these people? They talked about God. You know what I did when they talked about God when I got here? I left. I left. It was God's fault. Look what he'd done to me. See, when you run out of people, places, things, circumstances, conditions, and you got nothing left to blame, if you don't want your brain to explode, you can blame God for it. It's God's fault. You hear nay. All the time I hear that nay. I guess if God wants me to have a job, he'll shoot it down here to the club. I swear, I sit around in Alcoholics Anonymous all the time. I hear all kinds of excuses. All kinds of things God's fault for. Really, listen sometimes carefully to the talk in Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't know what God's trying to tell me. I didn't know he could talk. You see, I don't know how you are, but see, with me, you and Alcoholics Anonymous and God are synonymous. I can't separate the three of you. I wish I could. I can't. It seems like to me that Alcoholics Anonymous and its people and God are synonymous because, to me, prior to wandering into that meeting 24 years and 7 months ago, there was no God in my life. There was nothing in my life. There was no spirit in my life. There was no goodness in my life. There was no thoughts of other people in my life prior to coming into that meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. My first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous wasn't any different. There was none of those things in my life. I didn't mention the word God. I didn't have the word God in my vocabulary. The only time I'd ever screamed out his name was in my deathbed 10 or 11 months prior to that day coming into this meeting. You know those good things in my life. People like me don't have those things in their life. People like me have thoughts in their minds about what can I get? Who am I going to take from next? What can you do for me? What have you got that I want? Don't bother me unless you've got something for me. That's the way I came into Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, I know it's different over here in Culver City, but you got to realize I was in the penitentiary when I came here. And I was different. I prided myself on my difference. I kept coming back to your meeting. And the only reason I can possibly reason why I came to your meetings because I'd seen you. That's all. And seeing you, I've seen the miracle, and I didn't know it at that time, but seeing you and seeing Alcoholics Anonymous and seeing God were synonymous with me. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all, because I had given up all thoughts or concepts of ever walking peacefully with my God. Because my God was not kind, and my God was not loving and forgiving like you. See, my God was like me, a vengeful, hateful, deceiving, using, pious little nothing who just picked me out to persecute. That's what my God did. That was my concept of God when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous. See, my concept of God when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous was my concept of me and my thoughts. My concept of love when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous was a filthy thing. Love was only a tool I used to get something from you. That's all. I never one time ever remember prior to coming to Alcoholics Anonymous ever uttering the word love out of my mouth. I never said it to anybody. You can't say it if you don't know what it is. I didn't say it to anybody. I've had a lot of people try to get me to say that. My oldest daughter, born to me when I'm in the penitentiary. My wife, the mother of this child, drove all the way to San Quentin in an automobile. She brought my daughter to see me, my baby daughter. She came in that visiting room and she held that baby out in her hand, my baby daughter, this daughter of mine. I looked one look at the daughter, looked right at her and said, "Did you bring $20 to put on canteen so I can have cigarettes next night?" Now, I don't know what you call that. I call it a thing. Alcohol and drugs didn't have anything to do with that. That's not the reason I was what I was when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous. I was what I was, and alcohol made it bearable for me to keep from blowing my brains out. When I started sticking those needles in my arm, it made it better because I could just get out some way. The only problem was I had to keep waking up all the time. And every once in a while, they'd lock me up and give me some baseball to play, and some food to eat, and books to read, and dreams about when I get out. Tomorrow, next week, I'm going to get out. It's going to be different. I'm not going to use heroin next time. I'm just going to drink, eat pills, and smoke grass and hold it down. You know what happened. I always went back to my favorite thing, the thing that put me out. But I'll tell you, if you're sitting in your harboring some type of thoughts that some chemical is working in your system, tonight I'll tell you this. Anything that'll do that much for you, that'll distort your reality that quickly, is no good, lying, conniving thief. And every time it distorts your reality, it takes a piece of your soul with it. And pretty soon it gets every living thing you got, including your soul, and reality cannot be distorted anymore, no matter how much you put in your system. And the reason I can tell you that, because that's exactly what happened to me. As long as I was awake, I was faced with me, and I didn't like me on any terms. And so what happened to me? Well, I've been able to live comfortably and peacefully in Alcoholics Anonymous for all these years. Well, I'll tell you very simply, it's a book called Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, I don't have any noble reasons for working the steps of recovery in this program of Alcoholics Anonymous while confined in an institution. The reason I did it, because of my pridefulness and my differences. I was going to prove to you this thing wouldn't work for me, that I was different. So I worked your program of recovery. Do you know that I couldn't get the word alcoholic out of my mouth in Alcoholics Anonymous? It stuck here. I couldn't say it. Yeah. I couldn't even admit that my life was unmanageable when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous. I was doing real well. You know this? It says, we admitted that we were alcoholics, that our lives had become unmanageable. You can't become something that already is. My life was self-will run riot from the get-go. It said that something in there about referring that I had to be restored to sanity. You can't be restored to something you ain't never been. You have to understand that when you came to me and talked to me when I was in the penitentiary, I was as sober as you were. Just as sober. Been sober as long as a lot of you when you came in there. And you come in here and talk to me about, I used to drink, now I don't drink, and everything is wonderful. My immediate thought was, I'm not alcoholic. I'm as sober as you are, and I'm crazy. And then you came in and said, do these simple things. I was doing everything you told me to do, and I'm still nuts. I used to do things I didn't want to do. Pour coffee and smile at people. And I'd sit back in a corner and die. See, my insides never matched your outsides. That's what was my problem. That had always been my problem. With these well-meaning people that if you didn't do these things, well, how do you keep on doing them? What do you do when you're crazy? When the faces of those people that you've harmed and the things you've done are settling in on you in the middle of the night and you don't know what to do. And the only thing that's ever made it go away is a little piece of heroin, or a little drink of wine, or some pills, or a little grass, or something. What do you do? What do you do when the terror hits you in the middle of the night? And you're locked and laying down on the floor, flopping around there, and you know that you're not going to go out there, but just a little bit will make you feel well. Didn't understand it. I was crazy prior to that. You were telling me that if I didn't do that, I'd be wonderful. I'd been doing that all my life, and I was crazy. You know what got me? You know what got me? 4 steps. Now, I didn't do it to prove to you I was wonderful, or to stay sober and live happy and joyous and peaceful for all these years. I didn't do that at all. I did it to prove to you I did wouldn't work for me. I did it. And I'm going to tell you something. When I did it, I came very close to cutting my throat 4 or 5 times. I'd known about all that crap, but I'd never seen it written on a piece of paper. Some of the things I did, I won't even tell anybody today. They're not ego things with me. They're just things that make me want to throw up. Now, there's a man who knows all about it. And that man hugs me and tells me he loves me when he sees me. He knows everything there is. And the thing, somewhere during my 5th step, I heard myself admit that I was an alcoholic. And with that thing came a freedom that I carry with me today. And people came into my life and set me down in rooms and word by word, sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, fed me the English language. Told me that my vocabulary couldn't consist of 4-letter words. And that's all I knew. Told me cussing was crutches for conversational cripples. And then they backed it up with action, people. You see, the most amazing thing I know about Alcoholics Anonymous, they may tell you something here, but they'll back it up with action. They tell you don't do something. It ain't like one of them clowns that sits around with them pipes and them glasses saying, "You shouldn't ought to do that, son." These people will tell you you shouldn't ought to do it. Then when you ask them, what do I do? They say, come on. Come on? What do you mean, come on? Well, I'm going to show you how not to do that. Oh, what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to a meeting, have a cup of coffee. Well, that's going to take care of my car being broke down? Going to get my rent paid? Going to get me out of the penitentiary? No, but you'll enjoy it a little more while you're having a cup of coffee. People are amazing. You know, a little over 23 years ago, I came out of the penitentiary. A little over 23 years ago. It's amazing to me. I came out of that penitentiary 23 years ago on the 4th of June, 1961. I walked out of the penitentiary. Now, the most amazing thing that I know of is that what walked into the penitentiary didn't walk out. I know that's what I'm saying. What walked into the penitentiary did not walk out. Now, something happened in that penitentiary. And I've been trying to figure out what the only thing that happened to me was that I applied a program of recovery called Alcoholics Anonymous to my life while confined in an institution. I didn't get involved in a social activity. I didn't get involved in a party or a conference or a softball game or nothing. I got involved in a program of recovery called Alcoholics Anonymous. Because I was antisocial when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous. I just didn't do that. We didn't have them where I was. And in those days, we didn't have very much of that. You heard about it. They talked to you, tell you what it was like. I remember Ken Pepper, the old Rockford group, standing there telling me, told me what an egomaniac was. Gee, egotist, he called it. Heard him tell a guy that. The guy, he said, well, what do you mean egotist? I don't even like me. He says, for your information, an egotist is not somebody who thinks well of himself, but somebody who thinks only of himself. Now, you can put that and eliminate the word egotist and put alcoholic in there, and you'd have a room full of folk, drunk and sober. And sober doesn't mean that you quit thinking about yourself and be self-obsessed. It hasn't meant that in my case. What it's meant in my case is that I'm given an opportunity to go somewhere and get my mind and my thoughts and me off of me, and to share this glorious way of life with anybody that wants it, anytime they want it. And stand there and say, I don't know what you want to do, but this works for me, works well for me. Alcoholics Anonymous works. See, I haven't been anywhere else, folks. 24 years and 7 months, I have not looked anyplace else. I have not gone on and beyond anywhere else out of Alcoholics Anonymous. When I turned around in Alcoholics Anonymous one day and found out that I'd been found the thing that I'd been looking for all my life, I didn't want to go anywhere else. And I'll tell you something. If you ain't found what's in Alcoholics Anonymous, you got to go somewhere else to find it. One of the saddest things I see in Alcoholics Anonymous, if you talk to anybody that's been here for any length of time who's active and participating in Alcoholics Anonymous, they'll probably tell you the same thing. One of the saddest things I see at Alcoholics Anonymous, I see people sitting right in Alcoholics Anonymous, right in Alcoholics Anonymous, and not even know what they're sitting in. Not even have the slightest idea what they're sitting in. I see people come up to me all the time and say, well, hey, it's fine, man, but is that enough? Been enough for me. But you see, I'm an AA fanatic. One of the saddest things I see in Alcoholics Anonymous, if you talk to anybody that's been here for any length of time who's active and participating in Alcoholics Anonymous, they'll probably tell you the same thing. One of the saddest things I see at Alcoholics Anonymous, I see people sitting right in Alcoholics Anonymous, right in Alcoholics Anonymous and not even know what they're sitting in. Not even have the slightest idea what they're sitting in. I see people come up to me all the time and say, well, hey, it's fine, man, but is that enough? Been enough for me. But you see, I'm an AA fanatic. And if you don't know what fanatic is, it comes from the word fan. I am a fanatic about Alcoholics Anonymous. See, I love Alcoholics Anonymous. And the reason I love Alcoholics Anonymous is because it's responsible for everything that happens to me in my lifetime. Because I don't ever get very far away from it. I've never, since I sit in meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous in the penitentiary, I have never wanted to go anywhere or do anything else but just come and sit in meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. I've always considered it a privilege to come and sit in meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. I sat in the penitentiary a long, long time ago, and I said to myself, if those people would just allow me the extreme privilege of going and sitting in their meetings, I'll do anything they ask me to do. You know, 24 years and some odd months on down the road, I thought about that on the way over here tonight. Give me the extreme privilege of coming and sitting in the meetings around my friends. I'll do anything you guys want me to make your coffee, I'll make your coffee. Want me to sweep your floors, I'll sweep your floors. Want me to pick up your chairs, I'll pick up your chairs. Want me to empty your ashtrays, take a new cup, I'll do that. Want me to come talk, I won't like it, but I will. Just ask me. See, I love Alcoholics Anonymous. I wouldn't serve something I didn't love. I don't know about you. I won't. I'm just that way. And from where I sit, I see an awful lot of people who profess to love Alcoholics Anonymous who don't love it. They won't serve it. They're just sitting around in meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, showing up here on, well, I can't say Friday night because you think I'm pointing at you, but I'm not pointing at you. You take any night of the week and go to any meeting you want to go to, you'll find people who show up here and expect the meeting to be settled. Expect the coffee to be made. Expect the secretary to have a speaker. Expect the birthday cakes to be there. Expect to be entertained for an hour while they're there. Expect all these things, and they think their obligation ends when they put $1 in the basket if it comes by. I don't know if you're one of those people or not. I don't know how many of them are here, but I'll tell you, if you are, you're missing the whole ball game. Where I go to meetings and the people I go to meetings with, I'd rather have them pick up an ashtray or pick up a cup off the floor than to put a $100 bill in the damn basket. Money don't mean anything to me in Alcoholics Anonymous. I sit in Alcoholics Anonymous meetings for a lot of years. People say, I'm so grateful I can't see. Damn near run over somebody getting out of the meeting when the amen's gone. Kick over their coffee cup. Don't ask me to set up chairs. I'm so grateful I'm crying in the corner. Can't pick up my chair. I don't judge. I just observe and report the facts. Do you know what gratitude is? You know what gratitude is? Word. Gratitude is an action. Gratitude is an action. You can demonstrate your gratitude in Alcoholics Anonymous to me by being active in Alcoholics Anonymous. By sweeping the floors, and making the coffee, sitting at the chairs, and taking newcomers to meetings. Stand there and cry at the podium and tell me how active you are. How grateful I am to be sober. Show me. That's what I feel about it. I found out what gratitude was. I had an old man from Florida explain it to me. Ain't you sweet? I got a little grandson about that size. Ain't that something? Sound like me? Got a grandson, love him to pieces, cry when I see him. I could tell him how grateful I am to see him. He thinks I'm grateful when I buy him an ice cream cone. Old man in Florida taught me about gratitude. He said, next time you talk about being grateful, and you think you're grateful, and you're expressing that word gratitude, go out and have a nice meal at a nice restaurant some night, And when the waiter comes up and hands you the check, stand up and thank his hand and tell him how grateful you are you served him, and walk off and don't leave him a tip. Then go back the next night at the same station with the same waiter and see how grateful he is to serve you. He said, but gratitude is anything more than a gratuity. And gratuity is something you do, some action you take, some consideration you make for the people that you're grateful to. And I live my life, or I try to live my life that way. I try to live my life to such an extent that I can show you through my actions how very grateful I am that you came into that penitentiary and saved my life. That's why I come to meetings. That's why if you ask me to come, I'm going to get up and come. I don't care if I can breathe, I'm coming. That's why if you call me on the telephone, I'll talk to you. I may not want to, but I'll talk to you. Make no difference. Because I try with every fiber inside my being to show you how much I love you and how thankful I am that you took time out of your busy life to come see God love me. I wrestled around for a long time when I was new in Alcoholics Anonymous. That word gratitude, I didn't understand it at all. Then an old lady by the name of Myrtle Snyder, who I love more than anything that's ever walked upon the face of the earth, who's probably the reason I'm alive right now, this old lady. I loved her to pieces. One night I'm coming home from a meeting, and I get home from the meeting, and Myrtle's living in San Bernardino, and I got a phone call from her son. It said Myrtle had a series of bad heart attacks, and she was in a coma in intensive care in San Bernardino at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And I got in my car, and I'm taking down that old 91 freeway. In those days, it wasn't a freeway, it was a two-lane road, and I'm crying all the way out there, and I got a beat-up car. I'm crying, and I'm trying to think to myself, what am I going to say to her when I see her? I know she's going to die because the doctor told me so. If she can't make it till morning, you better come see her. And I'm bawling. This is like my mother. This is the lady who brought me life and gave me life in Alcoholics Anonymous. Presented this program to me in a package I would have died for. And I don't know what to do. And I get to the hospital, and I go in, and I contact her son. I come to see him. They let me in intensive care. She got some things hanging out of her nose, how she is, how the people are. And she's in a deep coma. And I'm sitting on the side of the bed, and I got a hold of her arm, and I'm crying like a baby. And I'm saying to her, gee, Mom, I want to tell you how grateful I am. How can you thank somebody for giving you life? I don't know how to do that. And I'm sitting there trying to get these words out, trying to express this thing that's eating me up inside, to tell this one person that I love more than anything in the world. The one thing I'm certain of loving is this old lady. I know I love her, and I can't tell her how grateful I am that I love her. And something happened because her eyes cleared in an instant. And she said this to me. And it was the last thing she ever said to anybody. She said, sweetheart, there is only one way in the world you can ever express your gratitude in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's to remain a good example of what this program can do for you. And I hope and pray to God I always will. Thank you.
Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control is connected. So Pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst and one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.